Think Library Network, New Delhi, India, and National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, NITTTR Chennai of Ministry of Education, Government of India. The esteemed Director of NITTTR Chennai, Dr. Usha Natesanji, the distinguished speaker, Dr. Shoba K.N., officials of NITTTR Chennai, DELNET officials, Shri K. Jayakumar, President, Dr. S.S. Murthy, Vice President, Dr. P.R. Goswami, Treasurer, DELNET, the heads of institutions, deans, teachers, faculty members, eminent librarians, library and information science professionals, researchers, scholars, and students, my colleagues here at DELNET New Delhi and also its coordination units at Bangalore and Pune, ladies and gentlemen. I, Dr. Sangeeta Kaul, Director DELNET, takes profound pleasure in welcoming you all to today's collaborative webinar session on the changing paradigm of teaching strategies being organized to celebrate the Teachers' Day today. At the very outset, we would like to wish you all a very happy, illuminating, and an inspiring Teachers' Day. We are much appreciative of a very overwhelming response to the webinar session, as more than 2,600 participants have registered from different parts of India and many other countries, including Bhutan, Denmark, Iceland, Nigeria, Oman, UAE, USA, and Zambia. At the very outset, on behalf of DELNET, we would like to express a very warm, sincere gratitude and thanks to Dr. Usha Natesanji, the Director, NITTTR Chennai, for agreeing to collaborate with DELNET in organizing today's webinar session. It is a profound privilege and honor for me now to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Shoba K.N., who is an Associate Professor at the Department of Education and currently the Associate Dean Academics at NITTTR Chennai, an institution deemed to be university, Ministry of Education, Government of India. With a PhD in English and being a gold medalist in MA in Education, she brings over 15 years of distinguished experience in emerging pedagogical trends, language education and research, teaching, training, instructional design, and publishing. Previously, Dr. Shobha worked as an assistant professor and also the deputy director at the Center for Research at Anna University, Chennai. She has designed and coordinated SWAYAM courses, authored several books, offered curriculum consultancy, and holds editorial roles in international journals. Her accolades encompass the UGC's Junior Research Fellowship Award, British Council's ELT Research Partnership Award, Rotary Club's Innovative Teacher Award, and a recent paper, Best Paper Awards too. She is renowned for empowering educators in research-driven teaching, content development, and experiential pedagogy. It's a profound honor and pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Shobha, today, and thank you so very much for being there with us. And we are indeed so much grateful to you. Thank you so very much for being there with us. We would like to commence the program with an opening address from Dr. Usha Natesanji, the Director, NITTTR Chennai, and also the Director in charge at IIIT Trichy. We have received a video clip, which we may like to play now, since Dr. Natesan couldn't really join us because of some other prior engagement. We request you to just bear with us for a minute.
Very good afternoon to all of you. On this Teachers' Day, I extend my heartfelt wishes to each and every teacher who shapes the minds and future of our students. Teaching is not just a profession, it is a responsibility and above all, an act of service. As teachers, we hold the power to inspire curiosity, ignite creativity, and instill values that last a lifetime. Let us remember that our influence extends far beyond the classroom. Every word we speak, every gesture we make, and every lesson we deliver becomes a seed that can grow into greatness in our students. The true measure of a teacher is not in the subject we taught, but in the lives touched. On this special day, let us reaffirm our commitment to nurture learners with passion, integrity, and compassion. Together, we can build not just successful individuals, but responsible citizens and change makers for tomorrow. Happy Teachers' Day, and we may continue to be the torch bearers of knowledge and inspiration.
Thank you very much, Dr. Usha Natesanji. We remain truly grateful to you for your relentless support to DELNET, and thank you so very much for making it possible for us to joining hands with NITTTR Chennai in organizing this session today. It's now a time for me to request our distinguished speaker, Dr. Shoba K.N., to kindly start the the wonderful deliberations of today to mark the Teachers' Day. And I have a pleasure now in requesting, firstly requesting her to accept this invite of being a presenter, and requesting you, if you may kindly agree to share the screen for the presentation. Over to you, Dr. Shobha, and thank you so very much for being there with us this afternoon. And wishing you once again a very happy Teachers' Day. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta, so much for that wonderful introduction. And I also thank our own director, Professor Dr. Usha Nattesanji of NITTTR Chennai for having given me this opportunity to address all these wonderful audience on this Teachers' Day. So this is a collaborative webinar that is coming from NITTTR and DELNET. And as Dr. Sangeeta introduced, I'm very glad to be giving this particular webinar to all of you. I hope my screen is visible and my voice is clear. So let us start the session. This particular session is called The Changing Paradigms of Teaching Strategies. As we all know today, we are moving into different realms of teaching. So let us start the session. She has already introduced me, so this is just for your information. This is my name and this is where I work. So Teachers' Day wishes to every teacher who has joined our session. So the National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, on behalf of Professor Dr. Usha Nattesan, the Director of NITTTR Chennai, and from DELNET, I would like to wish all of you a very happy Teachers' Day. So let us start today's session. We all know that today teaching is no longer about transmission of knowledge. It is also about the transformation of learners, right? Because we are no longer thinking about our knowledge transmission, but then we know very well it is about the transformation of learners. Every student that we touch in our class, we want to see what kind of change we can bring in those learners and how we are the change makers and the trendsetters today. So let me begin this session with this kind of a very insightful quote, I should say. And on this Teachers' Day, it is time for us to reflect how we are not there just as transmitters of knowledge, because education is not pumping in of information. It is drawing out the best. The etymology of the word education is also referring to the same. It is about drawing the best out of the learner and not just pumping in of information. And as teachers, we have a great responsibility to carry this forward. The topic of this particular webinar is about the changing paradigms in teaching strategies. So we all know what a paradigm is. A paradigm is not a small word. It talks about centuries when you need to make a change, when a change happens. So when we talk about classrooms, when we talk about teaching strategies, we are still thinking about the traditional classroom. So when we think about the classroom, we know that the teacher stands in front of the classroom, there is a blackboard, and then you have the furniture arrangement in which all the students are seated quietly. But then this has been the paradigm of the past. If you look at classrooms today, they have evolved. The blackboard has turned into a very interactive board, and the students are not expected to be seated all the time. We know that the arrangements have changed. We are having semicircular, we are having modular classrooms, and in some classrooms, students also stand, experiment, move around, and they learn. But it is very important at the outset for us to understand what are the paradigms of the past. Yes. So in a traditional classroom, we all know that teacher has been the sole authority. But today we are expected to have a very high social and emotional quotient. We should be able to understand how the student relates not only to the content, but also to the teacher and also to the other students. So the high social and emotional intelligence becomes important now, and teacher is no longer the sole authority because we are moving from pedagogy to andragogy to cybergogy and also to pedagogy. And the latest trend that I would like to talk to you is all about hudagogy, right? Self-learning. So we know in the past that the teacher has been the sole authority who plans how the class goes on, who controls the class, who controls learning inside the class. And we all know that the chalk and talk method has been predominant. So one of the main paradigm of the past has been how teacher has been the sole authority and the chalk and talk method was used. And I hope all of you will agree with me when I say the focus was more on rote learning. Exams were more important, and we are talking about discipline driven classrooms. The main ambition of the teacher was to keep the classroom in control, to intake whatever was being taught, to remember. So when we talk about rote learning, memorization was given a lot of importance, and then we also have exams which were the driving force of all education, whether it was a classroom test or a high stake exam. We all know that education focuses so much on assessments and evaluation. So it was mostly a product based approach, the product being the marks and the certificates in all these high stake exams. And also discipline driven classrooms, there was a certain notion about how a classroom should look like, how the teacher should always be in control of the entire space. So discipline was considered to be one of the most important cornerstones of education. And when we talk about discipline, we can also look at it from another point of view, as in a particular discipline in which they are all trained, right? So we know very well, today we are all interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary researchers. We are expected to look into various other domains so that we can make our teaching useful and fruitful for others as well. So this paradigm of the past of rote learning, of exams, and discipline driven classrooms are also fast changing. Another aspect is one size fits all model of teaching. So earlier there was one teaching methodology and it was used on all the learners. So we know very well that students were supposed to fit into this particular model into which the teacher was experimenting and exploring. But these have been the paradigms of the past. So definitely there is a change. There is a huge change in which teachers are getting into responsibilities that they have never imagined. And today teachers also do not want to be the sole authority or take ownership of learning, but then they want to be facilitators. I'm sure that you have heard how teachers are learning continuously to improve teaching inside the classroom. So this particular paradigm where we talk about teacher as the sole authority has changed, how chalk and talk method has been replaced, and how the focus on rote learning, the focus on exams, and discipline driven classrooms are also fast changing. And today, just like NITTTR's focus, we are trying to see how skills first approach should be used and not a one size fits all model. So now here is a particular snapshot from some of our own trainings that we give to teachers. So look at the teaching strategies that are here. You can see a teacher who is exploring something very new, right? So here is a teacher who's wearing a VR headset, trying to explore how this technology can be soon used in classrooms. And you can see all these interactive boards using which blackboards, have been replaced. And you can also see how the digital technology, the computers have become the cornerstone of teaching. And then you see how learning happens simultaneously along with the teacher facilitating so much of learning. And then you can also see a teacher using the green screen trying to offer online courses, right? So this is our Swayam studio where you can see some teachers have experimented in making videos of their teaching and learning material. So here you can see how the teaching paradigm has changed. Here are examples. These are examples, they are instances of how teachers connect with students in the changing paradigms of teaching strategies. So you can see that sitting in one corner of the room using one computer, a teacher is able to connect with thousands of learners. Today, the classroom has become such a fluid space. It has become a very open space, and there is so much of openness in learning and teaching. So the technologies are being explored. And also you can see how these videos that are being recorded are also becoming an important part of learning, so that the video once recorded remains as a great resource. It has become a repository of teaching and learning, right? So this is just a snapshot of my own classrooms when we train teachers. What are the changing paradigms of teaching strategies? I hope that you would be able to relate to this picture and see how there is so much to learn. And we also know that students, when they come to our classrooms, mostly they are the first time learners. They are trying to understand the concept, they are trying to understand how things work, but then teachers are lifelong learners. There is a need to update ourselves. In fact, when I started my career much earlier in the 2000s, we know very well that when we are in the classroom, we are in total control. But now you can see how slowly and gradually there has been a change. We are using several gadgets, we are using digital tools, and we are also aware of the way teaching, assessment, and feedback has transformed. So that is something that we all have to worry, and that is something that we all have to work on continuously for the betterment of education. So now let me focus on what are these shifting paradigms, right? So what are the how certain paradigms, how certain models of thinking, right? When when you use a word like paradigm, you are thinking about something that has happened over centuries. The technology which started with the printing press, especially in education. The moment the printing press came, we all know that we started to print books. Mass production of books happened, and everybody could own a book. Earlier, if you see, books were only copied. You had scribers who were able to create manuscripts which were very special, which were very expensive, but today anybody can afford a book. So that is the first technology that we should be thankful to. And from the printing press, today you have so many other technologies that have helped in all these shifting paradigms. So if you look at the process has enabled learner-centric classrooms from teacher-centric classrooms. So today learning has become much more personalized, and it has also become choice-driven learning. I choose to learn by a particular way. We all know about Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, right? So if I am a learner, an auditory learner, I can convert my material into a particular mode into which I can learn, a multimedia that I can use, and I can choice based, I can try and learn. Similarly, you have the choice based credit system where there's so much of flexibility. Learning has become so personalized. It is about your own choices. So from teacher centric to learner centric. But I would like to point out, beyond learner centric, today education is more learning centric, right? So whichever facilitates learning, I think that has become the highlight of today's today's teaching strategies. Similarly, today we are moving from memory to competency. Earlier, we used to rely on memory so much. If we were a good learner, it referred to remembering all the facts the moment you sat for the exam. So memory was one of the most important component of teaching and of learning. If you were a good teacher, you were expected to carry no notes and just give the students a long lecture on the topic. But today we are talking about competency. Is the learner able to do it, right? Is the learner competent enough to complete the task? So the focus is more on skills, the focus is more on problem solving, and the focus is more on creativity, right? Because problem solving and creativity, these are all 21st century skills. You have to be a good communicator. Communication is again a great competency that is required. So the focus has shifted from memory to competency, whether they are able to complete the task successfully. Next, another shifting paradigm you can see is from information to knowledge creation. Now, earlier if you see, we all know that when we are talking about education, we are just thinking that teachers are only instructors. But today, if you see, it is about facilitating. The quote that I told you earlier, it is not just the transmission of knowledge, but the transformation of learners. So today we are not just consumers of information. See, when we all had the internet, the facility of internet, we went to Google and we were just checking out what kind of information is available on Google. There was so much of data, but then we have to convert all the data into useful information. And that useful information can only be transferred as good knowledge to students. You cannot give the raw information. You will have to create mental frameworks into which you can fit all this kind of information. And from knowledge comes wisdom, right? So another paradigm that has shifted is not just information, but knowledge creation. Now, I've also offered courses on generative AI, and I also talk about social media for educators. So when I talk about how social media can be a great influence for teachers, we know that we are just sometimes passive consumers of social media. Whether it is teachers or learners, there is a tendency to just scroll and look at the information that is available on social media. But then knowledge creation can be done on any platform. Right? See, today we are having a webinar on Teachers' Day. So this is the best a teacher can be doing, talking about teaching strategies. And I'm able to do it from the comfort of my own place. Right? So what is happening here? We are creating new knowledge. We are creating new knowledge about what are all the changing paradigms in teaching strategies. So we have looked at all these changes and we are trying to consolidate it. We are trying to put it into a framework that everybody will be able to relate to. So from information, we are moving to knowledge creation. We are facilitators of knowledge. We are creating opportunities inside our classrooms through which our learners will be able to learn any kind of a skill. And to perform the skill, we are also creating opportunities where they will be able to perform, teachers will be able to analyze and also give feedback. So not just instructors, but today we are trying to facilitate knowledge. So these are the shifting paradigms when we talk about the 21st century. And this has also been instigated by various changes, socio-politically, geopolitically, and also because of technology, right? So this shifting paradigms we should remember. Again, if you see, from classroom walls to blended and virtual spaces, today, when I talk about an extra class, I am not thinking about my physical classroom. I may be thinking about a blended space, right? Like I showed you in the previous picture, we are talking about different types of technologies that we are using. MOOCs, the massive open online courses, these have become so important today if you want to learn anything. Your hands are no longer tied. You can always try any kind of MOOC which is offered on the Swayam platform, NPTEL. There are so many opportunities for you. And also AR and VR. This is an emerging technology. Using virtual reality and augmented reality, if you see, schools are creating a lot of information which can be transferred as knowledge using AR and VR. I'm sure that just like all of us are carrying a mobile phone today, we will soon have an AR and VR headset in our home. I think few people have already bought it. I'm being told by my son that one of his friends received that as a gift on his birthday. Right? So this immersive kind of experience, immersive learning is soon spreading, and that is also again a shifting paradigm from classroom walls to virtual spaces. The virtual space can range from a WhatsApp group to any kind of an online learning platform, a MOOC, or social media, right? So there are so many blended and virtual spaces that are happening now. Similarly, we are talking about inter or transdisciplinary approaches. See, today as a teacher, I cannot just focus on one particular discipline because we know that chemistry is related to physics and physics is related to mechanics and mathematics is at the heart of it when you talk about STEM learning. Similarly, when you talk about all these subjects, humanities and social sciences play a major role for you to understand what is happening in the society and what is important for the society. So earlier, if you see, the disciplines, they were all segmented, right? They were all in their own silos and they were focusing on their own topics. But today, we are having inter and transdisciplinary approaches. We are talking about project-based and hackathon-style learning. Now, what is this hackathon-style learning? We know that hackathons are conducted. These are huge competitions where industries gives you a problem, it gives you a question based on which you'll have to find practical solutions. And then the hackathon winner is announced. So these kinds of practical strategies are also inside the classroom today. So inter and transdisciplinary approaches are very important for today's class. And one more very important component of any teaching learning process is the assessment. From testing to continuous assessment. And continuous assessment has become possible today with the help of portfolios, with the help of peer assessment, with the help of analytics and AI-driven feedback. So are we trying to practice an assumption-based teaching or evidence-based teaching? How does an evidence-based teaching happen? When you have data, when you conduct a kind of a diagnostic test, and based on the diagnostic test, you understand what the learners know already, what kind of knowledge they are bringing to our class, what kind of prior learning you are recognizing, right? We call it recognition of prior learning. So how do you use all these factors to implement in your own teaching? So it is not about testing whether the learner knows it or not, but it is a process. So like I told you, from a product-based approach in teaching and learning, we are moving to a process-based approach where continuous assessment is happening. So this portfolio, it can be a collection of whatever the student has done. E-portfolios are being used. Digital portfolios are something which even recruiters are asking for. And when we think about testing, we also imagine a huge bundle of paper which the teacher has to correct at the end of the test. But then there are so many ways in which this can be done. Today, with the help of AI, we are also using AI-driven feedback. So peer assessment and data analytics. As a teacher today, you cannot say data analytics is something which only a data scientist or a computer science engineer will look at. With the help of so many tools that we use, analytics is readily available to us. We can see which student used, how many number of seconds to answer a question, which question was the most left unanswered. So with this kind of analytics, we can personalize our teaching and learning, focusing on what is more important. So according to me, these are all the shifting paradigms in the 21st century. And I hope that the teachers who are here will also agree that these shifting paradigms have changed how teaching is being done, because we are moving from Gen X and Gen Y, right? We are moving to Gen Z and Gen Alpha groups of learners who are here. So as per the generational shifts, teaching strategies will also have to move. Now, we looked at the past classrooms. We also looked at what are the shifting paradigms. What are the contemporary strategies which drive change in education? Of course, a flipped classroom and a blended learning. Even before I could meet the learners, I am sharing what is important, what the learners need to know with my learners. I'm a technology expert and I'm expected to be digitally present for my learners. So the flipped classroom and the blended learning enables this kind of a teaching strategy. So the learners in a flipped classroom, they avail all the materials that are shared by the teacher, and then in the learning, lot of discussion happens in the classroom. So the learning process becomes highly interactive, highly challenge oriented, and students enjoy these kind of classrooms instead of lecturing inside the classroom. Another aspect is gamification and micro learning. Today, gamification is one of the recent trends, and I think it has brought a huge paradigm of change in teaching. Anything that can be gamified piques the interest of the students. They want to lead, they want to compete, and they also want to get validation for themselves from others. So gamification can be a great paradigm that can be explored, and many have already started that. Micro learning. What is this micro learning? When we talk about micro learning, how learning can happen in short bursts of information. So micro-learning is again a very interesting way in which learning can happen, short bursts of information. I think today we are living in a world of 30 seconds and 40 seconds YouTube shorts and Instagram reels, which students are readily accessing, preferring them, than YouTube videos that are 10 or 15 minutes long or even much. So design thinking and problem-based learning. Now, design thinking, how to design a lesson, right? We talk about universal design principles, UDL, universal design learning. It talks about inclusivity. It talks about diversity, equity, and inclusivity, how inclusive classrooms have to be created because all learners are not the same. We have heterogeneous group of learners, and design thinking for educators. That is one area which can throw a lot of light on how teaching strategies have changed. And then we also focus a lot on problem-based learning, where an actual problem is taken and tried to be analyzed and the solution is found. So design thinking and problem-based learning. Of course, today the use of artificial intelligence, we are talking about data analytics and various digital tools, right? So we have digital tools that are helpful in education, not just for teaching, but also for testing, for classroom management, for engagement with learners. So digital tools and data analytics and artificial intelligence has become a great resource for learning, for reference, for feedback, and for testing as well. See, today we are also talking about this multilingual and inclusive pedagogy, right? Because NEP 2020 talks about it. So a multilingual pedagogy is today possible with the help of technology. We can easily translate a page, we can easily translate any learning content into something that is relatable to the learner. This is where personalized learning comes into play. And how, when we talk about learners with various challenges, inclusive pedagogies are also part of today's teaching strategies. And then we talk about collaborative global learning networks, right? It is not like only people from Tamil Nadu can learn using some kind of a learning network. People from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, I know that here all of us are from different spaces, and we are able to collaborate, but because collaboration is again a key 21st century skill. So we are part of this collaborative global learning networks. When you do a course from Coursera, when you are trying to access a library beyond the oceans, we are talking about collaborative global learning networks. And if you look at this OERs, all these open educational resources that are available to us, these are all free resources which are accessible beyond borders. Of course, I have told you about MOOCs. OERs also have become a new paradigm, and I think educators should explore the benefits of OERs and various online communities. Today, if you go on Facebook, if you go on any kind of a social media, we know very well that these online communities, they give us so much of information. They also help us in networking professionally. So the role of teacher today has changed. We are talking about a teacher as a mentor, mentoring and counseling skills, career guidance skills. These are very important. Mental wellness is another area which is given importance to. Earlier, we thought teacher was a person who has everything sorted out, but today we know that a teacher is also playing different roles, and mental wellness becomes an important aspect of it. Mentoring, coaching, right? So you become a coach to whoever is learning along with you. You have also become a learning designer. How learning happens easily and logically for the learner. You explore this and learning designing happens, and then teachers are lifelong learners. These are two different ideas, emotional quotient and digital fluency, but it is very important today. Along with emotional quotient, I think all of us are also focusing on various aspects of our physical quotient, our cultural quotient, our career quotient as well, right? Our adversary quotient, how we react, how we manage in times of difficulties or challenges. What levels of resilience do we have? Because the teaching paradigm also involves teachers who have survived. So today is the birthday of our former president, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. So we all know that he was a statesman beyond being a politician and several other things. So they say that a politician thinks of the next election, but then the statesman thinks of future generation. Right. So when we know this happens, a teacher is more like a statesman. I learned this from one of my own trainees. So we know very well that like statesmen, we are able to think about the coming generations, and for that we need very high levels of emotional quotient and digital fluency. Today we have also become community builders, not just content deliverers. Think of the kind of alumni that we have, right? They become communities who support educational institutions, not just a content delivery person. So today you have various digital learning apps for teachers. I'm not going to go into each one of it, but then all these have contributed in a very substantial way, especially to teaching strategies. These lesson plan tools that we have, just if you search for lesson plan tools, you get like a number of lesson plan tools that can be explored. Whether it is any kind of a subject, you will be able to get the content sources. There are so many content sources for teachers, and then how you deliver the presentation and the design tools. Today, using many designing tools, whether it is Canva, whether it is Photoshop, Adobe, we use so many kinds of presentation tools very easily. We are not expected to be an expert in computer science to use these tools. Of course, we have also become experts in video recording and teaching software. We know how to handle the pandemic. A disguise. It was actually a blessing in disguise, because we've all been empowered digitally. We know how to make use of video recording, teaching software, gamification tools. So you can explore this gamification, teaching software tools for classroom management, because classroom management is very important, communication and collaboration tools, and also there are various assessment tools in teaching. So once you explore this variety of apps, we know that these are all the recent changing paradigms, especially in teaching strategies. So I would like to talk about this aspect, this grow. What is this grow? G stands for growth mindset. We should not think that as teachers we have all grown once we have completed our PhDs, right? So we have a PhD, we have got a job, now we are teaching, and that is it. But then you need to differentiate between a job, between your profession and a calling, right? So you will have to differentiate whether it is you're still in the job phase, or you are in the profession phase, or you are in the calling phase, whether teaching is your calling yet. So G stands for growth mindset, right? Not a fixed mindset, but the ability to grow, to learn, and then R, real-time learning. So we are talking about real-time learning in what is current, right? That is very important for teachers. Real-time communication, real-time learning and interaction, that is very important. Now we are having a communication. So it is absolutely important for us to understand how real-time communication can happen. And then O stands for opportunities seeking. See, earlier it was very difficult. We never knew where a webinar was happening or a seminar was happening, where a conference was conducted or where a fellowship was offered. But today, opportunities are just thrown to us, right? You know that the moment you open your WhatsApp groups of networks of teachers, you can see various opportunities that are coming to you. So are you an opportunity seeker, and do you also use that opportunity? Now, apart from this opportunity seeking, you should also understand that teachers should be opportunity creators of learning in the classroom. And then W stands for your work ethic. See, on Teachers' Day, let us just reaffirm and reassert, right? We should also recommit ourselves to this teaching profession with the kind of work ethic we bring to our workplace. So this growth mindset, real-time learning, opportunity seeking and creating, and work ethic. These are all certain frameworks that we should always remember and we should adhere to when we talk about teaching and learning. Here on this screen, you can see two important words, learnability and learn agility. Now, what is this learnability? All of us have the ability to learn, no doubt about it. right? That's why we have all completed our PhDs, we are teachers, and we are teaching so many others. So learn ability is the ability to learn, but today we are talking about learn agility. What is this learn agility? The ability to learn quickly. Now just think about the way you used all these UPI, right? We are all using Google Pay, Phone Pay. Just think how many hours or how many minutes it took for you to learn how to use it. We are all expected to be very agile, right? Fast learners. So an agile learner understands any concept quickly. So when I started using the computer and the internet, I always used to carry a floppy disk. After the floppy disk, which was only like 144 MB, and then later it increased. Today we don't find computers where you can use a floppy disk. There is no slot for a floppy disk. Slowly we all moved to laptops, and then we started using CDs and DVDs because their storage space was more. Now again, if you see, we don't carry computers or laptops which have this CD drive. Today we are all using so many clouds, right? If you see all the content that we are creating, it is on the cloud, and we can access it whenever we want and wherever we want. This is learn agility. So I cannot say today that I am comfortable only using a button phone. I feel very comfortable using a floppy disk. I have to move ahead, and the speed is increasing day by day. So we are talking about learning, unlearning, and relearning for teachers here. That is also a changing paradigm, because I think Alvin Toffler in his Future Shock talks about how the illiterates of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who are not ready to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So learning, unlearning, and relearning is another change, right? Within our students also. So maybe they learned through memorization earlier when they were in their schools, but slowly as they come to their higher secondary, when they come to their college degrees, they are made to think, right? We focus on the Bloom's taxonomy, and where we are moving from lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills. So unlearning certain study habits and then relearning certain new habits, all this happens. I will just highlight a few paradigms which have made teaching strategies very important today. Of course, the first one is artificial intelligence, because you can create very adaptive content. And you can also see how AI has completely transformed the education space, because the searches for AI in education have increased by 20 times over the last 5 years. Hardly a few searches were made, but today 20 times the search has increased for AI in education. Today people are talking about neuroeducation. What is this neuroeducation? They are talking about how psychology, pedagogy, and neuroscience function together. See, earlier this was not given much importance, but today we understand how spaced learning works, how repeated learning works. So there are different ways of learning through which we are trying to help the content easy for our students. This is called facilitation of learning. So neuropsychology, educational neuroscience, and educational psychology, all these come together, they converge, and then you have neuroeducation coming up. This is another changing paradigm which we can explore. So you can see how in the past 10 years the number of searches for neuroeducation also has increased. And then micro learning helps us to remember, retention, flexibility. So this is just an example how they use micro learning even in industries, right? In different spaces where they can emphasize on teaching and on learning. So brevity, very short bursts of information is important. And I think social media is a great space which has literally enslaved us with the short bursts of information, like the reels and like the YouTube shorts that we are watching, because here the focus is very singular. Only one important point is being taught here, right? So retention, all these things automatically happens, and it is used in industrial safety in different workplaces also. So this is just a recent paper which I published, which is talking about micro-learning practices in blended educational context. So this is also a changing paradigm. And we can see that micro-learning has also doubled over the last 5 years. Of course, we know that when we talk about online programs and online learners and prospective online students, the number is increasing. So, immersive and interactive learning experiences are created by AR and VR. There are a lot of AR apps that can be used to create AR content, from whether you are teaching language like English or Hindi to computer science. Because imagine, you cannot take your students to a biogas plant. There are so many hazards in taking students, but then you can show them through augmented reality. You can see the entire process. We have so many virtual labs today, right? So this is making education both immersive and interactive. So we can conduct science experiments virtually. We can pour any amount of the sulfuric acid, because in labs, these are all very difficult items to handle. But today, with the help of science experiments that are conducted virtually, students can engage in simulation. This is another teaching strategy where there is a paradigm shift. And if you see the current experiential reality, this adoption is increasing. And slowly they say it is already existing as a long-term strategic plan in many schools. So again, this is another strategy which we had to think of. Like I mentioned already, whether it is cloud-based, cloud technologies are used. You just have to log in using a key and a password and you get access to any amount of information. So this also enhances digital literacy. And like I told you earlier, are you going to be a teacher who is going to conduct assumption-based teaching or evidence-based teaching? So you will have to think about data-driven analytics, right? Where you can track the students' progress, you can identify different areas for improvement, and also personalize any kind of intervention. So we know that this optimizes learning outcomes, and this also informs curriculum development. So every time a curriculum is developed, we think about the reference text, we think about the assessment methods, right? So we also think how much of these methods have enabled learners. So teachers are the greatest enablers of learning. How can we do that? We have to think about all this, right? So learning analytics, that is becoming a huge trend now, and that is one of the paradigms that has been shifting. So whether it is digital badges, leaderboards, there are so many tools, free tools using which you can create leaderboards for your classrooms. So earlier we used to have a huge chart which will be stuck on the classroom wall with all our names. So the moment we come late, the teacher will just draw a black dot or a red dot when there's some kind of indiscipline. Or we also used to get a star, right? She will put a small star sticker on the chart next to our name, which means that we have got some kind of an appreciation. All this can be transferred digitally, because once it is done, it goes into the teacher's portfolio and it can be a very useful tool. It can be duplicated, it can be replicated for the next semester or the next school year also. So leaderboards. And then creating small challenges for the students inside the classroom. See, today, all of us are using different quiz tools, right? All this enhances motivation. Now, staying motivated is a very difficult task for a student once the student faces failure. But then these kind of gamified experiences will change the learning process, and gamification is a great teaching strategy which you can use. And of course, engagement. You know how young learners, they literally lose hours together, especially when they are on the computers playing games. The level of engagement that is happening when they move from one level to another level, right? So that can also be done using gamification in learning and skill development. Many recruiters in many medical facilities, right? Gamification is being used. Virtual reality is being used for quick recovery, for post-op methods. So again, being transdisciplinary in our learning approach can also help. So that is a skill development. Any kind of skill development we can have it gamified. Game elements can be introduced in any non-game situation as well. So you can use video games or any kind of serious games, right? This can motivate students, and it also gives them a sense of accomplishment. I see that in many schools and in many colleges, this approach has brought students to understand how important they can stay engaged with learning. Okay, so these are all a few things that I just wanted to share with you. And when we think about education, we are also thinking about what are all the various teaching strategies that have changed, and how we today as enablers of knowledge, we are not just in the past traditional classrooms where chalk and board method was used, or chalk and talk method was used, but today we have moved much far ahead. And I think teachers have become more they have focused more, they are focusing more especially on the transformation of learners than the transmission of knowledge. So I think on this Teachers Day, I would like you to rethink and reevaluate some of the teaching strategies that you have been using and increase your pedagogical range. So when I talk about pedagogical range, I'm talking about what do you have in your toolkit, right? Are you a teacher who is ready to start the class with a warm-up game? Can you do an activity to teach a concept? Can you do a game especially for trying to teach the students one particular difficult concept? Can you use a digital tool for an assessment? Right? So there are several ways in which we can enable learning in the classroom. We can personalize learning. We talk about differentiated instruction, challenges in a large classrooms. We all focus on active learning strategies. So whatever I have told you is only the tip of the iceberg, right? So there are too many things that we will have to focus on, especially when we talk about teaching strategies, when we talk about all the changing paradigms. It's a wonderful topic for us to explore on this teaching, on this Teachers Day, where we have teachers who are completely dedicated. And I strongly believe that no nation is above its teachers, right? Whatever a teacher has to offer, that is exactly what the country will become like in the next generation. And I'm very glad, and I also thank everyone for being part of this learning session, especially on Teachers Day. I also thank the director of DELNET, Dr. Sangeeta Kaul, who has given me this opportunity to discuss a very few ideas in a very brief time, because we offer various courses on every topic for almost a week or for 2-3 weeks together. So it was quite a challenge that she has thrown at me to compress and talk about the changing paradigms in teaching strategies. I am also thankful to my own director, Professor Dr. Usha Natesan, for having given me this opportunity on this Teachers Day. So I think we have a few minutes left. I would be very glad to answer a few questions. Thank you again, and wishing you all a very happy Teachers Day.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Shoba. All appreciation and admiration to you for delivering one of the most impactful talks we have ever organized. I must say that you had delivered truly enlightening presentation, highly engaging, and also the inspiring one. And in a very short span of hardly 45 minutes, you have been able to take us, journeying through the entire teaching and how this transformational changes has happened. Very empowering talk. Many takeaways, I must say, Dr. Shoba, from your wonderful presentation in such a lucid manner that you have delivered it.
Okay.
And I have just been jotting that, we would be requesting Professor Dr. Usha Natesan ji and DELNET and NITTTR Chennai may like to have this, a continued series of programs, especially for our educators on this occasion of the Teachers Day. Let's take a resolve that, let this partnership goes by leaps and bounds, and we continue to organize programs as any everything that you have, mentioned on this platform. Quite insightful presentation of yours, including, for example, the gamification tools. There's a greater need to let our educators know about it, our teaching faculties to know about it. And as you have rightly said, that there is a greater need now to bring that, because our youngsters, we cannot think about, holding our old strategies to retain our, the youngsters, whom, we have to come out, with our new learning strategies. And it's more focused now, not only on the learner, as you have rightly said, more on the learning. And we have to really have some of the most innovative ways. This design thinking also, which is now the most emergent field for educators. So DELNET would be really happy to collaborate further, Dr. Shoba, with NITTTR Chennai, and to see to it that we are able to keep it as a very continuous endeavor of both the organization to spread the word, and to see to it that practically on the ground we are able to bring some transformative changes. Thank you so very much. Much remain grateful to you for sparing time, and a very, very special thanks also to our esteemed director of NITTTR Chennai, who is also, madam, is also on the governing board of DELNET. And we are indeed so very happy, that we have been able to partner, and having you on this platform, and such a wonderful manner we have been able to celebrate the Teachers' Day. We could not have really done it, without your being here and the wonderful association with NITTTR Chennai. Thank you so very much. Now, with your permission, we would just like to make the floor open for questions. We have more than 600 of our attendees who are being there, not only from nooks and parts of India, but also from many other countries. And we would like to make the floor open for questions. And this is for all our attendees. The floor is open for questions. We have a very esteemed speaker, I must say, a very seasoned, professional who has really been at the helm of affairs, for education and for teaching. And we would be happy to get you connected with her. So requesting you, if you have any questions, you would be having many. And I can see now the hands which are now coming in, and I would be requesting, be very precise and quick in asking the question, and do kindly introduce yourself. So I'm sifting now through A to Z, and firstly is Mr. Ajay Mandal. Dr. Ajay Mandal, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question? This is for you, Dr. Ajay Mandal. Could you please unmute yourself? This is the last call for you, Dr. Ajay Mandal. If not, I'm really compelled, to move now quickly, because I could see Akanksha. This is for you, Akanksha. If you have a question, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question? Akanksha, you have raised your digital hand. This is what really happens. And I think this you may be encountering in the teaching now, the virtual teaching, that when the students are wanting to ask a question, and in the classrooms, you can very well make out whether they are genuinely wanting to ask or not. So this is yet another, I believe, a challenge which may be happening in the teaching, and some strategy has to be in place to ascertain whether it's genuinely they are. Let me just go now to Dr. Vishal Nimbhore. Dr. Vishal Nimbhore, could you please unmute yourself? Dr. Vishal Nimbhore, Dr. Vishal, could you please unmute yourself? It's my sincere request to all attendees, please don't raise the digital hand. Raise the digital hand if you're genuinely wanting to ask a question, because it raises a false alarm and then does take away the time. This is for Dr. Anil Patil. Dr. Anil Patil, could you please unmute yourself if you are genuinely wanting to ask a question? Dr. Anil Patil. Dr. Anil Patil, could you please unmute yourself? If not, let me just lower your hand. So requesting you, please raise your hand only if you have a question to ask. Dr. Pranesh Kulkarni. Dr. Pranesh Kulkarni, could you please unmute yourself? This is for you, Dr. Pranesh Kulkarni. Dr. Pranesh Kulkarni, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, I am audible, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I must appreciate. I was just thinking what's really happening that
Yes.
no one is.
I am Dr. Pranesh
Thank you.
Assistant Professor, Ejan College, Engineering College, Bangalore. I'm happy to, once again, happy Teachers Day, madam. Wonderful information, madam Shoba, madam. Wonderful information. Really, these information we are using in our school and colleges also. My one question is, how can we develop the industrial skill in the children's? That means basically college level, school level. When they coming to engineering, they'll be learning industrial. But in the school level, college level, how can we develop the industrial skills?
Excellent question. Thank you for that question. So when we talk about industrial skills, first of all, we should focus on the teachers' exposures to industry, because the teachers, they complete their academic requirements and they enter the school or the colleges. So according to me, we will also have to focus on industrial training. I take a lot of pride in saying how NITTTR has been at one of the, we are the forerunners when it comes to industrial training of teachers. I am just back from a valediction where the civil engineering teachers from polytechnics have completed 3 weeks training program, an industrial training program, where the exposure was totally in the industry, because everything that they have been learning and teaching, whether it is the furnace or the smelting or the tile making or the foundation, the casting, they have gone to the industry, they have seen it, and now teachers will be able to talk about it with more clarity in their classrooms. So I think teacher education has to be empowered first in terms of industrial training, so that they will be able to transform their learners, not just transmit the knowledge of whatever they have learned without seeing and experiencing it in the industry. And I also told you about hackathon-based learning. In fact, on my socials, I talk about how important hackathon-based learning is, problem-based learning, so that these industrial methods of learning can be used in classrooms also. So please explore hackathon-based learning. And I think teacher training and empowerment in industrial spheres is more important for teachers to become aware and then transfer the knowledge to their students. I hope my answer helps, Dr. Vishal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vishal, and thank you very much, Dr. Shobha. And I also jotted it down as yet another recommendation coming out from this wonderful, wonderful program today. So we need to also have, some kind of sessions we may like to hold it and to see to it. We do talk about academy and industry partnerships, but it's very, very important enough that we should also see it's not only for the students that we think about, it's also for the teachers. As you had just said that, the real time experience, for them to go down and see the, the industries and then go back and then try to, give those skill sets, back to the students. So I think, we need to really bring that, to the teachers also, and we should think about developing certain kind of programs, in order to inspire that. Thank you so very much, Dr. Vishal, and once again, Dr. Shobha, for this. Quickly, would like to move to Dr. Hanumantha Rao. Dr. Hanumantha Rao, you have raised your digital hand. If you would like to ask a question, please unmute yourself quickly. This is for you, Dr. Hanumantha Rao. If not, let me, I'm so extremely sorry. I have to mute you now and have to go to the next. This is for Rishikesh Behra. Mr. Rishikesh Behra, this is for you, Mr. Rishikesh Behra. If you're wanting to ask a question, be quick enough in unmuting yourself. No response from your side. Have to move to the next of the colleague, and this is to tell everyone we are just going to have a look at the chat box also, and if you have any question, you can post it also there. This is for Mr. Kali Charan Soran. Dr. Kali Charan Soran, if you have any question, you have raised your digital hand, please unmute yourself. Dr. Kali Charan Soran, if you have any question, please unmute yourself. Dr. Kali Charan Soran, if not, I'm extremely sorry. You can post your question in chat box and we will be happy to take the question from there. So we are now from A, we have moved down to M, and I'll just be slightly more quicker in seeing that we are just able to see that no one queries, remains unanswered. So we have Mr. Raja M. This is Dr. Raja M. Could you please unmute yourself? Dr. Raja M. Could you please unmute yourself? Dr. Raja M., you have raised your digital hand. Could you please unmute yourself? Extremely sorry. Now I have to lower your hand and I will be slightly more faster in seeing to it. We have Samarjeet Bentkar. Mr. Samarjeet Bentkar. Mr. Samarjeet. This is for you, Mr. Samarjeet. No. This is a very humble request to everyone. Please don't raise the digital hand if you don't have a question. The time is the most precious thing that we have with us. So let's try to utilize it in the best of the ways. This is for Shajina R. Shajina R, could you please unmute yourself, Shajina? Shajina, could you please unmute yourself? I believe we are towards the end of the session now because we could see that there are no queries being there. And Shoba, before we conclude, we would like to present this moment to you with great sense of appreciation. Yes, we would be very, very happy to send it across to you very, very soon. It has been such a pleasure having you here today and our great appreciation for the work that you are doing and the great experience that you hold. And we are sure that we have just made a beginning today. We look forward to having many more mutual programs together. And we will be really delighted to chalk out a strategy to see that how best can we, make a calendar of the events between DELNET and NITTTR Chennai. And I would be happy to speak with Madam also on this. Thank you very much for sparing your time being there with us. And you have truly illuminated, the paths of everyone being those who have been there. And let our journey of everyone, each one of us, the journey towards light continues. And let we continue to brighten up the paths, of our learners, whether as teachers, as library and information science professionals. And let us also keep on acknowledging and to convey our gratitude to all the teachers in the classrooms, beyond classrooms, everywhere, who really inspires us and makes us, to grow and transform. Thank you very much for making the day so
one concluding note, because Dr. Sangeeta, you're a true inspiration, because we are what we are today because of libraries. See, we come from a period where we never had the internet. Libraries were all that we relied upon, and that's where we got all our learning from. So thank you to you. You're doing a wonderful job in connecting us all through libraries.
Thank you, Dr. Shoba. Thank you so very much. Indeed, a pleasure. This is to thank everyone for being there with us today. Once again, wishing you all a very, very happy and an empowering Teachers' Day. We have celebrated it in truly a memorable manner, and we really look forward to organizing many more programs. Wishing you the very best. Once again, Dr. Shoba, a very warm, sincere thanks to you, and also to Professor Dr. Usha Natasanji, and also to each one of you, our colleagues, who have been able to join us across India and many other countries. Thank you so very much. We really look forward to having you back again, and also to launch a special series, between DELNET and NITTTR Chennai on the various kind of, webinar programs. Thank you so very much. Stay happy, stay blessed. It was truly a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. God bless. God bless you all. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks. Thank you.